Hi everyone. The movie I decided to talk about was Harold and Maude, made in 1971. This is a movie I've always loved since high school. I was really into this movie back in the day. Basically what it's about, if you're not familiar with the title, is a young rich kid, Harold, around 19 or 20, who's obsessed with death, and he also falls in love with a 79-year-old woman he meets at a funeral. So basically, the scene that I decided to talk about is his mother trying to set him up with a girl that she deems acceptable. So she met this girl over some kind of primitive computer dating service from the 70s and has her in the sitting room, is interviewing her, asking her about her major, her family, things like that. She seems pretty normal, pretty well adjusted, and you see Harold in the background, and he waves from the backyard. He's wearing an odd white robe. You're not really sure what that's about. As the scene progresses, you see him get further out into the backyard, and eventually he ends up on this raised wooden platform, sitting cross-legged, and starts pouring gasoline all over himself. So you're enthralled. You're watching what he's doing, and the mother and Candy are having this very boring, very basic conversation. So while that's happening, you see him light himself on fire, and all of a sudden this look of horror comes across Candy's face, and she stands up out of her seat and she's screaming, "Oh, Harold!" And the mom is just, What are you talking about? Like, she's used to all the weird things that he does at this point. So, and then Harold walks in off screen as if nothing had ever happened, and she runs screaming out of the room. And at this point, the abstractness of the scene, apart from the cinematography, which I'll get to in a second, the abstractness of the scene is Harold looks straight at the camera and he smiles, his smarmy little smile, and the mom just kind of eyes him suspiciously like, "I know you did something, I'm not sure what you did." But the other abstract aspects of the scene was the fact that you're supposed to be focusing in on the mom and Candy having this conversation, but what you're really focused on is the window behind the mom. You see Harold in the backyard, and which kind of makes everything else, makes the foreground kind of unnecessary, as if it's droning on and on about like something that doesn't matter, basically illustrating the whole point that Harold thinks all of this doesn't matter. He doesn't think that anything in his mother's world is relevant. Etiquette, properness, he doesn't care about any of that. He just wants to live his life, and that's something that, as a teenager, you're really into stuff like that. And I still love this movie. I recommend watching it for anyone who hasn't seen it. It's really good. It's a classic. But basically, yeah, there's no music throughout the scene, as in a lot of older movies don't really have music throughout. But there is like a little upbeat song that plays at the end as Harold is smiling at the camera, just to let you know, like, yeah, I did that. I don't care. Like, he doesn't care about the consequences of anything. So that's basically the scene that I chose. The movie's great. That's just a small little section of the movie that I always remembered. I always thought was funny. It really hit home his personality, in my opinion. But yeah, I recommend checking it out if you haven't already seen it. And that's about it. Thank you.